Hello, everyone. Before we get on with today's interview with Abdelrahman from Property Sorted, a quick word about our sponsor, PropTech. Really simply put, if you want to make the listings on your real estate website much more engaging, you should be talking to PropTech. They are experts in using AI to keep users on your website. If you think your listings could stand to be a little bit more engaging, talk to PropTech, talk to the guys on LinkedIn, or head to proptex with 2x's.com and obviously say that we sent you. And now on with the interview. Hello and welcome to the PPW Pod, bringing you news, views, and interviews from the world of real estate marketplaces and PropTech. I'm joined today, as ever, by Simon Baker. How are you, Simon?
Good afternoon. I'm very good. As they say, busier than a one-legged man in an ass-kicking competition.
Okay, good to hear it. Also joined by Abdelrahman from Property Sorted. How are you doing?
I'm great. It's sunny here in London, and you can see the light on my face as well.
Yes,
Sunny in London, so it must be
yeah.
that one day of the year. Okay.
Well, sunny in London, but you're not in Egypt. That's the interesting thing. So, for those who don't know, Abdelrahman, actually, by the way, you said beforehand I can call you Zuzu if I'm having trouble
Yep,
pronouncing your name.
please.
Zuzu's the CEO and one of the founders of Property Sorted, which is a relatively new real estate portal out of Egypt. The reason we wanted to get you on, obviously, it's an interesting place to cover, but also you guys were the winners of our Pitch Club competition at PropTech and Portal Watch in Barcelona. Firstly, why don't you give us a quick background of, Property Sorted, you're a portal in Egypt. You seem to be competing against some quite big players there. Can you give us some background about what the business does and, what made you want to take on some of these big players in Egypt?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to. So the reason why we existed is around 3 years ago. My cousin was wishing me happy birthday, and we were like, we have these challenges in buying and selling homes, and I was buying a home in London and selling one in Egypt, and I saw the difference, and the difference was, the astronomically different, even though we have incumbents there that has been there for 10 plus years and nothing changed. So that's how we came about it. And we thought, okay, let's put all our things that we learned, from a data tech perspective, a product perspective, and try to tackle this problem. So it's really as simple as that. But then obviously we face so many challenges along the way, obviously, and we tackled a lot of them. And currently, we think, we are delivering something 10x better in terms of trust, transparency, and just for the end consumer.
Okay, so we will come back to that claim about 10x user experience, trust, transparency, etc., etc., etc. Why don't you quickly give us like an overview of the market in Egypt? I'm sure it's one of these markets where we're going to hear about all the massive potential. Why don't you just tell us about some of the big potential of the Egyptian real estate market?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, in Egypt, I think we live on less than 15% of the current land. So that just shows you the potential. In the UK, all the land is cultivated and around half of it is greenery, but you can't build anymore. Just for reference. So acquiring a new build in the UK is really difficult. However, acquiring a new land to build on in Egypt will take you less than a week. So there is a massive difference. The same for Saudi as well. They still live, mostly it's sand, uncultivated. So that just shows you the TAM in the real estate industry as a whole, where it can go. So that's one. Two, it has a massively growing population, one of the largest in Africa and in the region. And in terms of the age group as well, most of the people in Egypt are young, which means they want to get married, they want to buy their first home. So from an economical, macroeconomics perspective, there are a lot of factors that will make this huge. And then add to that we had currency problems and devaluations that made young people eager to start new businesses and startups, which wasn't the case around 10 years ago. It's relatively new. So yeah, these are like 4 or 5 very, very big changes that are coming.
Okay, so that's the kind of positive side of it. That's the, we have
Mhm.
positive demographic tailwinds. We have a 10x user experience. We're going to challenge you on that a little bit. There's obviously a downside to operating in Egypt, right? What are the constraints here? I imagine the availability of data and I guess the trustworthiness of the data is a massive headache, right?
Definitely, there are a lot of risks. So I worked in London for around 7 years in the data industry. There is an abundance of data in the UK, in the US, and all the developed market. So first, when we looked at Egypt, we thought at the beginning there is a lack of data, as you say. However, we realized it's not a lack of data. It's actually there. However, it's not public. It's private, and it's scattered, and it's in Excel sheets hidden from people. And we gathered it for a lot of years, and we cleaned it. That's my one of my main jobs. And we realized there's actually an abundance of data 3 years later. So that's on the data side. On other risks, yes, we have an FX risk in terms of currency devaluations. When someone invests $1 million, they could be devaluated by 30% the next day. So it's a huge risk, and Latin as well. So other countries like Brazil, Argentina, etc. So we have an FX risk, and then also we have certain, extracting your money out of the countries as well challenging because of the FX situations. So yeah, there are downsides, but there are a lot of upsides as well.
Okay, we're going to go back to the claims you made a minute ago. You're saying we have a 10x user experience of, compared to some of the big companies in Egypt. So just for people listening, some of the other big companies we're mentioning in Egypt include Dubizzle Group and Property Finder. These are well established, let's say, market leaders in other places. What is it that they're not doing that you are doing that's giving you a 10x lead in user experience?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, if if you're from outside Egypt or the region, you would think that these two, or the third and fourth marketplaces, have been there for more than 10 years, and thus, there's nothing to innovate on or to add really. However, if you ask any consumer in Egypt, I bet you at least 9 out of 10 people will tell you that they're facing significant challenges from their data being sold, from inaccurate listings, fake listings, et cetera, et cetera. So, and you can go and Google and see the reviews of the companies you mentioned. If you don't, you don't have to take my words for it. So that's the reality, right? So there is an external view that these companies are great, which they are, by the way. They're not. I'm not. I always look at them for motivation, but they're just lacking the effort, because, as Simon mentioned before, inefficiency makes money. So there is a reason why these markets are inefficient, and if they wanted to solve it, they will probably would, but it will decrease their revenue.
Okay, that's interesting. So I'm going to get Simon in on this. Just in my mind, I don't really remember any challenger real estate portal that has truly gone on and, let's say, established itself as a very profitable number two or even a number one player just on user experience. Simon, can you think of any?
No, and if we think about, let's look at this in a number of ways. One is, user experience in the US is a market where they compete a lot, and truly a forever and a day way back when. So I'm going back now to, I don't know, 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012. They really took on the market leaders through that user experience lens, but they also had to raise a lot of money to build awareness and drive traffic and so on, because it gets quite expensive. But clearly that's a combination of many things. Yes, you've got to build loyalty around an audience. which, user experience can certainly drive in that way. And then it's about retaining that audience and then converting it somehow into money. When we all know that you can have the most amazing audience in the world, but you can't just keep forking out money to have a wonderful experience if you don't make money. I think the question for me is, the challenges you outlined about duplicate listings, about fake listings, and so on is not unique, right? It happens throughout most developing markets or emerging markets, and even some established markets where you can get them in places like Italy and so on. You can get some of these duplicate listings and fake listings and such. Quality being defined as, hey, look, this is a real listing, it is for sale, and so on. So first of all, how do you determine that a listing is real?
That's a great question. So we currently have both manual ways and automated ways. However, I think what we just do is we put effort, right? So while the others don't. So and let me obviously understand there is a fundamental problem in the current established marketplaces and the way they make money. They make money by basically letting an agent push as many listings as possible every day without because that's how they can potentially rank higher on the SERPs. So the more listings you push, the more likely you are to show up, which is a problem in its place, because I spoke to agents that are using these, and they told me that the marketplaces or the sales account managers, they told them if you don't push 100 listing or 50 or X listing a day, you're not getting leads. And that itself is a fundamental problem, I think, because that will make the agent push the leads over the listings over and over and over again. So that is a problem by itself. But one
But
way.
is it so?
Sorry, go on.
Is it a problem? I'm going to challenge that, right? It depends whose eyes you're looking through. If you're looking through the eyes of a consumer, someone wanting to buy or rent a property, agree. Please don't show me the same property 5 times. Please don't give me a poor experience. Please don't show me fake properties because, I'm wasting my time. But if you're an advertiser, okay, what's success for you? Success for you is people ringing my phone, me getting emails, WhatsApp, whatever. So success is interesting depending on who you are. And the big challenge that marketplaces face around the world is they have 2 masters. One is the master of the consumer and one is the master of the advertiser. And you have to feed both. You can't just feed one at the exclusion of the other, because in doing so, you end up with a suboptimal outcome. So how do you bring that together in a user experience without then going, what, you're the agents in the market going, well, yeah, great, fantastic, but properly sorted, what's the point? Okay.
Yeah, no, that's 100% right. So we are trying to be more of a consumer first marketplace than an agent first marketplace, which our competitors are. That's what we're trying. That means we will stay there, forever, but we're attempting to be more consumer because that's our differentiator. But as you said, for an agent, the more numbers, the better. They don't care if it's fake listing or not. So yeah, I think it's a great question, but I would put myself as a consumer first until yeah, because that's my differentiator.
Okay, so let's play this out. Ed and I are 2 real estate agents in downtown Cairo. Okay, we want to advertise on your portal, and we happen to be advertising the same properties. We're both going to pay you to advertise, but you want to say, no, I'm consumer first. I don't want duplication. I don't want fake listings. Who gets preference?
For us, currently, it's the top agent, the better agent who can provide the best quality and service for the customer.
How do you define that?
Well, that is at scale, it's very difficult. But currently, we're tackling region by small areas by small areas. So we know certain areas. We go and we kind of vet and talk to the agent and see if they fit how we work with them. But at scale, you're right. It's extremely challenging at scale.
So let's bring in some experience from other parts of the world that have looked at this problem and tried to solve it. Okay, so first of all, Zameen, owned by the Divisal Group, or at least by the owners of the Divisal Group, has had to solve this problem many years ago, probably about 15 years ago. Okay, and what they said was, look, if you're an agent, so Ed and I are agents, we've got a property we're trying to sell. We need to make you go, well, Ed, Simon, we're going to make sure this is a real property. So what we'll do is we'll go and look at it for you, but it's going to cost you $20, $10, whatever, right? And by the way, whoever pays that money to go look at the property and certify it's real, so it exists, the specifications are correct, you know, it's got 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, it's in this building, and the building is in this area, and it is for sale, of course, we'll put your brand on it. Okay? So that's one way in which you allow the agent. So 2 things happened. You verify the quality of the data on your portal. Okay. Ed or I, because it can't be both, get the right to put our name against the property, so thus get the lead from it. But the other thing is what you also do is you shove the property sorted brand. Like there's a little logo that says a verified property, where it's been verified as correct, real, and so on. And they do it in the motoring industry as well, where they, you know, this has been verified or certified as being a real car and it's not had a crash or whatever. So that's the first thing that people do to really differentiate. If you want to build out this consumer first approach. But the other thing that they do is, you know, when this whole concept of, you know, which one of the two of us, Ed and I, you're going to give the leads to? And you said, well, it's the better agent. Okay. The question is, what defines a better agent? And what these other portals have done is said, well, in a market where it's a little bit fragmented, there's not a lot of trust, because trust is the real issue here. We're going to use the property sorted brand as trust. So Ed goes, well, I want that against my name. So when it gets listed on the directory of agents, there's Ed, big stamp next to his name, you know, property sorted, verified, or certified, or something. And they either say, come to a training session, do some online training, share certain data with, do something to show us that you're real and trustworthy. You then get certified, and then your algorithm starts redirecting more leads around the properties to Ed than to me, who goes, I'm driving Uber, I'm too busy. Okay. Right. In this process. So there are many ways in which, you know, these marketplaces step in and start to play the role of authority, the role of trust, and really the role of what in the United States the NAR would do, for example, versus, you know, in many other markets it just doesn't exist. I can wake up in the morning and be a real estate agent. Fantastic. At the end of the day, I go back
That's
to
what
Uber.
happens in Egypt currently. Anyone wakes up. We have people in university, students that are real estate agents. So there are certain things, as you said, a lot of things we can do and we will do. There are other stuff that we'll have to wait for, you know, someone like the government. Like, you know, you can see the Dubai government now is intervening a lot of things, which is very positive for the market.
Yeah, but I would argue that you don't want the government to intervene. you want to intervene before the government, because once the government intervenes and certifies, then everyone gets access to the same level. It becomes harder for you. So I think if I'm in your shoes, I'm saying, well, I want to be the friend of the consumer. I want to then step in and say, well, the government doesn't do this role and is unlikely to do this role for the foreseeable future. Why don't I do it? And then maybe I create an asset the government can buy from me, okay, which is the certification database. Maybe you run some education courses, and before you know it, you've positioned yourself as being the authority in the market.
So let me see if I've understood this right. You're saying, or you're maybe not saying, but you're hinting that some of these big competitors in the market have a business model which doesn't necessarily endorse this kind of chaos in the market, but it also doesn't really change it. So what's your business model? You're obviously, from what I gather, you're not just a pure advertising business model. There's either a commission take or it's pay per lead. Am I right?
Yes, that's correct. So we have currently two business models. The main one that we're currently focusing on is a commission based, where we act as both the buyer agent and a seller agent, and take the average commission in the market, which will depend if it's a new build or a secondary market. So that's the main one we're focusing on now. The other one, which is a SaaS based, just like the traditional marketplace, we are testing it. However, we believe it will not work at our current scale, because it needs a lot of advertising for it to work. So yeah, we tried it. We actually started by the pay per lead model. It wasn't that successful. So we're our main model is a commission based model.
Okay, but that's interesting. So you're, as a young real estate marketplace, you have the freedom to try these different business models, right? Is it, what's the thought process that goes into it? Is it, you just literally have a meeting one day, change the business model the next day, or is it like,
I
how
I,
does it? I'm
I
interested in
can
how this actually works on the inside.
I can make the website pink if I wanted to tomorrow. It's the perks of being bootstrapped and being a small team where, as I mentioned, we're four, and the decisions are very quick. We can move very quick. We can experiment, and basically, I'll tell you what happened. So we started. My thesis was, okay, I want the company to be scalable, with the least operational headache as possible. So pay per lead, the agent won the lead. I can get, I have as an agent, I can go to our website and sign up without even talking to a sales team. We have the first self-service in Egypt for agents, and then I can click and buy a lead, and that's as easy as that. I get all the information on the lead as well, like what they clicked, what they searched, etc. That was my hypothesis, and I thought it will work 100%. However, we tried it with a lot of agents. It was difficult for many reasons. One is they didn't trust us yet. They were like, "Who are you guys? We have no idea who are you, and we will not pay even $1. We're not gonna pay. This is like, it could be a fake lead. I don't trust you." And two, they were all asking about, can I try 10 for free, 20 for free, and we just didn't have enough leads to give away. So quickly we realized at our scale it's not going to work, and we had to now go to a commission based model.
So how do you run this commission based model? How do you ensure you get paid? Because as you
Yeah.
said, it's a market where kids at university are being real estate agents. Not everyone in those markets is honest. And so a lot of them go, you know what, I didn't sell it, or I didn't sell it through you. So why am I sharing my commission with you? So how do you get around that issue?
So currently we have to have our own agent to do that. That's one. And two, we have very few agents that we can work on with to do that. But as you say, yes, at scale, this is a very big problem because there's no public registry. There's no this home was actually sold, even we will never know. So you can't close the loop. It's almost impossible for me to know if the home got sold or not at the current stage. So we have to do it. We have to have our own salesperson, trusted friend for the current time.
Okay. You're also big on, we are the portal in this market that has the best user experience, right? So that, to my mind, means that you are going to need a lot of organic traffic, which also kind of then leads on to you're going to need a lot of marketing budget, right? How do you go about getting that organic traffic off these other big players that there are in the market? And, what is the marketing budget? You said you're
Yeah.
bootstrapped. Have you,
Uh,
have you been fundraising, asking
yeah.
people for marketing budget? Like, how's it been working?
Yes and no. Kind of exclusive news to you guys that we have 2 angel investors that are almost gonna give us money very soon for a safe round. So that's the first time I say it publicly. Can't share more, but it's
Well done. Take the
yeah.
money. In these turbulent times, put
Yeah.
money in the bank.
Yes. On your question, Edmund, if we step back to why we created this crazy idea, we actually have a thesis internally of why now. If it wasn't for AI and technology and certain things that we were doing, we would have zero chance of doing this whole thing. Now we have maybe 2% chance, but at least it's not zero. And I'll explain more why. As you say, the current marketplaces, they do 2 things. One is they do SEO for the last 15 years to get half their traffic. And the other thing is they get the money upfront from the agents for 6 months or 1 year, and they just pour it into advertising on Meta. Basically, that's what they do. So we can't do that because it's just ridiculous. It's millions and millions spent every month. So we resort to other methods, which are organic. So, for example, last month, we had one of our video content go viral on Instagram and TikTok, and we had 1.5 million views doing viral content. So that is organic. It didn't cost absolutely anything. It cost my co-founder's time. We do other stuff like we use channels that are not tapped yet. For example, Reddit, which is it's small in Egypt, but it is growing. It's bigger in developed countries. There's no one there. We got our first 5,000 customers or so from there. So yeah, we're doing different things that are way cheaper.
Okay, what was on those viral videos, if you don't mind me asking? Just giving people out there some inspiration for their own viral videos. I don't think if it's out there in the public already, it's not a secret, right?
No, it's viral. Yeah. It's I think most people in Egypt now have heard about us from this video, like literally everyone. So, and we plan to do way more as well, and we think we're gonna, be just, we're gonna get tons of traffic from this method, and it cannot be easily replicated from our competitors, because we're positioning ourselves as a trusted brand with a face. So first of all, my co-founder has his face there, which is it's different. Two, it's quite unprofessional. It's not like it's casual, right? It's not. If you compare us to the competitors, they're very strict in the way they advertise and stuff, which is boring. To be honest, it doesn't attract anything. People like things that are crazy. If you look at what's trending on Instagram, it's definitely not the norm, right? It's the crazy stuff. So yeah,
But you
brand
still
first.
haven't said what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We're trying to get to the what was it that made this unique, interesting, and viral?
Yeah. So basically, the topics that we spoke about were trending topics on Google and just generally in the country. And they were not related directly to real estate, because real estate in itself is boring. It's a boring topic. So basically, it was around TV series. It was around very, very common TV series that everyone was watching at the current time. You're talking 30, 40 million people watching that TV series. And we basically done a video of the homes in the TV series and their prices. So how much they cost, very low, very high, etc. So it was a trending topic. It was very friendly. And we just focused on the brand. We didn't sell anything. So no selling, no go to our website, nothing, just the brand. That's it.
Yeah, which makes a lot of sense. And if you look at what's interesting is you're taking a leaf from some of the big players. So you look at something like realestate.com.au in Australia. I can't remember who else does this now. Domain does it in Australia as well with the link up with papers. They will, if someone is selling a house, someone famous, they talk about the house, but they don't talk about, it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. They're talking about, and this Hollywood actor who did this, did that, blah, 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 blah. Oh, they're also selling the house. And they try to get an angle to it. It's fundamentally clickbait. We want to cut through the rubbish. It's clickbait to get you to engage with what they're doing and with the website, so you become aware of it. Now, whether that translates to long-term engagement or not is another question, but it's good to keep people engaged. Which actually does raise interesting questions. Are you getting good engagement from this viral stuff?
Extremely, way more than we thought. We had tons of people praise us and tell us, this is, your website is, I've waited for this my entire life, for something that nice and that good. We got tons of messages, people sharing it, people commenting it. We had 11,000 followers from these videos, which are quite rare. So our engagement is actually through the roof currently from these videos.
Yeah, which makes, in fact, I've just quickly checked on a website in Australia called news.com.au, right, which is that. And there's like 3 articles there from realestate.com.au. Now, none of these, I'm going to read you the headlines, none of these are what you would expect from a property portal. One is exposed millionaire pads of Australian radio stars. Okay. Well, all it is they're basically saying this is where people live. Right. Another one is it says, holy crap, maths, which is Married at First Sight. So it's a TV reality thing. Stars exposes wild truth. Huh? What's that got to do with real estate? And it's something about what really happens when the cameras stop rolling. So I have no idea what that article is coming from a property portal is doing on a news site. Now that's more clickbait, if you ask me, than, hey, here's a house for sale. And I'm not going to say what it says. It says Russell Brand's huge move after rape charges.
Oh my God. Okay.
And I'm going, once again, why am I clicking on that to go to a property portal? Okay. And it's actually a republished article from the Daily Telegraph, okay, which is another newspaper, about selling his family home in England. So you have, now what's interesting, right? Now then you think, well, how could this play out for you? Okay. And one of the ways it could be is, well, maybe there's some famous Egyptians who don't even live in Egypt anymore, or maybe they've sold a house in England or somewhere. How do you leverage that to your advantage? Okay.
Yeah. No, that's very. I'll take that note.
Yeah. So I'll send you the links.
Yes,
But
please do.
it's what it shows is that more and more these portals are playing the social media game, and it's the the irrelevance, what do they call it? Doom scrolling, right? Where you're just sitting there going like this, right? Looking at crap. And it's similar to that, but it's getting that engagement. and at the same time building your brand?
We always talk about AI, and I actually have a very specific question regarding AI for you. So literally before this call, I was building a graph representing all of the real estate portals in the world that do or do not have AI search. Now, I was on Property Sorted not so long ago and noticed that you do have something like an AI assistant, but for me, it's not quite search. Like I played around with it and put some searches in, and it wasn't really for search. It's very similar to what your competitor has in the UAE, the Bayut GPT, which is this kind of not really a discovery AI tool. It's more of a co-pilot. I'm wondering what the thinking was behind that, and maybe why it's not really for search and more as a co-pilot. Is that because the tagging of the listings in the back end in a market like Egypt would just be like really, really difficult to do? So let me kind of explain what I mean. I put into Property Sorted, show me 3-bedroom villas on the Red Sea near a snorkeling spot with a 2-door garage, and it didn't quite get what I meant, right? So, but do you see where I'm going with this? It's not really meant for things like that. It's not meant for search. It's meant for, it's meant as a co-pilot to tell me about areas and things like that, right?
So yes and no. So no, your question still cannot be answered. But yes, it is actually a search. And what we have out there currently took us around 5 days. We had to do it quickly for an event in Egypt where we, kind of launched this to some people. And we currently working on a V2 that is significantly better. However, the end goal will be you can search whatever you want and you will see you can control the whole website. Basically, we won't need the front end anymore. It will be just a chat, just like ChatGPT, where you can do absolutely anything you want, as well as it's going to be through WhatsApp as well. So you're just going to WhatsApp a number,
Okay.
your question, and it's going to give you the listings that we have that fit that criteria.
Okay. So my next question regarding that would be, so how do you actually get the data to tag everything in the back end, all the taxonomies, all the, this has this particular villa has a double garage, this particular villa is south facing or whatever. How do you actually get all that data? Because I imagine that data is quite difficult to come by. And I imagine you're not literally doing what like CoStar and people have done in the past and actually physically sending people out to go and look at these buildings. So if you're saying that eventually the goal is, yes, we're going to make it for search, and yes, you can search for anything, how do you get the data to power that in the back end?
Yeah, that's the secret sauce. So
That's the bit
we
you can't tell me. Okay.
no, I'll definitely tell you. So we have uh, basically the what's happening now, if you think about it, is 10 years ago or 5 years ago, the strongest LLM in the world was Google, and it was private, and only Google owned it. Today, everyone has Google's IP, or kind of open source, which is an LLM that can search absolutely anything. So essentially, this is a game changer for the whole world because taxonomies, as you mentioned, or I worked in data science before. All of the machine learning techniques and data science techniques that are 10 plus years ago, they were very stringent, and none of them was, except Google, the only one that had that power. But today, everyone has a power of an LLM, whether it's OpenAI or any one of these sources. So back to your question. So now, so this is the main thing that we have now is using an LLM, which is we have different. We use actually both OpenAI and Gemini, both for different things. And essentially, there are certain ways in data. One of them is called a vector database, which is quite a well-known thing that has been there for 20 years, where you can combine that with an LLM to search your whole data, and that could be PDFs, it could be anything basically. So in our data set, we have different data sets. We have geographical data sets, we have listings data sets, and we combine all of that, and then the LLM can query all of it, essentially. So yes, we will, definitely answer the question you answered in the next version, but not now. But yes, the data is there, and we're collecting more and more every day, using different techniques. And I'm happy to show you some offline, to just give you a sneak peek of what's behind the scene.
Okay, fair enough. Interesting. Okay, we have asked you enough difficult questions. I want to ask you some nice questions. One of the reasons we wanted to have you on was because, me and Simon have been kind of breaking down your business a little bit over the last 40 minutes, but actually it can't be that bad if you won the pitch club that we did at PPW in Barcelona last October. I want to ask you, 6 months on, how was that experience, potentially help the business? And what was the experience like of getting on stage in front of 300, 350 people and pitching the business?
No, it was game changing. I think I watched pretty much every video on the podcast and everything you guys say, and that made me go to the event and drag my my co-founders with me, and we took tons of notes. We learned a lot. We created connections as well, with some of them, promising. Um, uh, and actually, one of them is, I'll share offline. And no, it's a great experience, and I've learned around SEO, around what other people are doing. I remember, for example, rentals.ca had an amazing presentation. The marketplace from Mexico was just brilliant. It really resonated with what we're doing on the supply side acquisition, especially. Going, I think he 10x'd his supply, something like that, from 30K to 300,000 listings. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff.
Did what? I just want to know. Did no? You don't have to name names, but you said you've secured investment. Did any of that come from the?
Not directly. So, I think everything, Simon, is like, it's doors, right? You open one door, opens another. So I think after opening many doors, that is, what happened. But they're Egyptian investors. They're very prominent. One of them raised more than $100 million in their own venture. So it's, but yeah, one of the things that came from the portal was a connection with one of the biggest real estate portals, and that we might partner on something interesting with them. That's all I can say now.
That's
Okay,
excellent.
fair enough.
I've all because sorry, Ed, let me finish. The reason we started the PPW conferences back in 2009 was for this very reason: is to get the industry to meet each other, and I think if you're a small business, as you said, there's four of you, and the capacity for you to then rub shoulders with CEOs of multi-billion-dollar businesses is fundamentally challenging, almost impossible, and to do that all within 3 days, over a few sangrias, I think is what we've tried to achieve with the conference, and I'm glad it's happening. It's working for you, and we've done 38 or 39, or I've lost track of these things over the years, and we're doing them again in October. I got to do the pitch. October 15, 16, 17. It's again in Madrid. Ticket sales are going really well already, and we're sort of 5 months away from the conference. Are you going to come?
I really want to. Depends on our revenue.
I'll tell you, as you were the winner last year, I'm going to give you 2 free tickets.
Oh,
Okay.
amazing! Oh, then I'm coming for sure.
Right. No. I'm going to hold you to it, because I think,
Oh, I'm gonna book my
because I
tickets
want
now.
you to continue to get those connections and grow. And when we often, try to help those who need to get the connections, because I think it's, the least you can do in this sort of industry is at least give back a bit to help people. So, I'm going to hold you to it. You better turn up.
No, that's thank you very much. No, seriously, that's it. 100%, we're booking our tickets. Done.
Yeah. Excellent.
Cool. Okay. We'll use you for one more piece of promo, another clip that I'll no doubt clip up and put out to people. If you were to give, encouragement or advice to somebody thinking about pitching at the PropTech and Portal Watch Pitch Club, what would you say to them? Because obviously you did a very good job if you won, if you won the competition. But I imagine there's a certain amount of like, oh, should we go and do that? Is it worth it? Et cetera, that kind of goes on. What would your advice be?
Yeah, so I highly recommend it. That's first. Two, I think in order to win, you need several things. One is preparation. Obviously, everything needs to be, perfected before. And two, if you're an early stage business, which is most likely, that's why you're pitching, it's gonna be more around the storytelling than the actual data. A lot of people still not revenue generating or don't have millions of users. So your story, it needs to be a brilliant story. So that's two, and three. Just watch the previous winners. I've watched one of them. I think you guys didn't release all of them, but I've watched one of them and I took notes from this one. And I think Simon sent some certain instructions that I've followed rigorously. um, so definitely do that.
My God, someone listened to me. And
That's what I want.
I know, I was going to say, you listened to me. You can't have been in my family. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, three advisors. So
Perfect. Well, Abdelrahman, thank you very much for joining us. Absolutely best of luck with Property Sorted taking on the big boys in Egypt. And we'll definitely see you now in Madrid in October.
definitely. Thank you, Simon. Thank you, Edmund. Very nice meeting you guys again.
Excellent. Thank you.